Hello, hello. Welcome back. Today we're talking about this amazing book, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And it is the most spiritual book that doesn't use religion, and it actually teaches you like the essence of spirituality and makes it so easy and so straightforward that we can all do it and have that inner peace, the inner joy, and everything that we've been trying to get. But it's like religion kind of plays around the edges of it. And a lot of us, we don't get to the real essence that is inside of it, if you know what I mean. So this, I think, is one of my favorite books ever. I had it, a lady told me about it that I look up to, and I had it on my table forever, probably like 8 months, that I have to read it, and I just wasn't reading it. And then I decided to, and it's really skinny, so I don't know why I was having such an issue with it, because it's life-changing. So I have the main points of the book for today's video, and this is also for me so that I can just go back and listen to this instead of reading the whole book again. But it's a really good one. So let's jump right into it. So this will be more of like audio style because I'll be looking down a lot, so you don't really have to watch it, you can just listen. So his first point was, you are the one who hears the narration. So why narrate? Because he was making the point that our mind is constantly talking, right? It's constantly saying that, oh, you forgot to call this person, and oh, I need to do this, and why did so-and-so say this? And now I can't sleep, and why am I not being able to sleep? And oh, this hurts. Like, it's this constant narration, right? And it's like, what's the point of the narration? Because you already know what is being narrated, right? Like without speaking it to yourself, you already know all of those things. Like when you're driving down the road, you don't need to constantly be pointing out, oh, that's a red car, and that's a nice tree, and look at the road, and oh, why are they going so slow? Like your awareness already picks all of that up. So you don't need to have this talk in your head. So just silence the talking and just notice, because it's just a waste of energy and it makes us all neurotic, honestly. So because you can tell this, but you are in control of that narration. So like say hello 3 times in your head. See, you are the one in control of the talking. So remember that. And then when something happens, ask, what part of me is being disturbed by this? Instead of, what should I do about this? Say somebody says something to you. Ask yourself, why am I being disturbed by this? Instead of, what should I do about them saying this to me? Now I need to defend myself and get angry and stand up and yell, Instead just ask, what part of me is being disturbed by this? Because it's always something in us that is disturbed when someone else does something. Like it has nothing to do with them. Like if you have no problem about your weight, anybody can say anything to you about your weight and you'll just laugh it off because it's not even a trigger for you. However, if someone mentions something about your weight and you are insecure about it, you will definitely feel this big trigger inside. So we see that it's all about us. It's not about what other people say. So that was a good point. And once you see that part, the part of you that is the behind the scenes, the awareness, the part that doesn't need to be narrated to, it's the part that notices. Once you can see that part and realize that the narrating voice is not really you, because you are the one that is noticing. The narration, you can be, someone might not text you and you'll be like, oh, she hates me and all this stuff. And then she'll text you this really lovely text and then you'll be like, oh, I love her and all this stuff. So the narration, it's not you. It's this thing that just flips back and forth and takes both sides. You, who you are truly, is the one that notices all of this stuff happening. You are the awareness behind it all. So just notice that it's a subject-object relationship. And then he was saying, ask yourself, who am I? Really, who are you? When you ask, who am I? What do you start to say? Oh, I am 5'8", and I am 120 pounds, and I have brown hair and whatever, when you say those things. But then when you say that, what about when you were a baby and you were not 120 pounds and you were not 5'8"? Were you not you then? Or if someone asks you, who are you? Or you ask yourself, who am I? And hold on, there's a call. Then you'll realize that, if you ask yourself, who am I? And then you say, well, I am Robert Jones' wife or whatever. Well, what about when you weren't Robert Jones' wife? Were you not yourself? So you can see how this is a very simple question, but it goes really deep. Think about it. Who am I? And what you'll realize when you get down to the bottom of it is that you are just the one who notices. You are simply the awareness. It's really deep. And then you're saying that, talking about the lucid self, when you're dreaming and you know you're dreaming. In life, be the same way. Be aware that you are being aware. Because most people are walking around with no awareness whatsoever. And just simply being aware that you're being aware is a huge step. And then I wanted to read this page in the book. He was saying, a big part that a lot of us have trouble with is we close our hearts and we get all angry and tight and defensive. And that's something that I've struggled with. And this book was amazing with teaching how to open your heart and keep your heart open. And that it's really, it's safe to. Because I always thought that if you open your heart, well, anyone can stab it. And that is true, but it's also way worse to keep your heart closed, because then you just ask for the worst part in other people. It's kind of like when predators, as in meaning people predators, when they be okay, I'm going to go after that girl. They do it because they notice that she's all walled up, she's all insecure, all that stuff. So they notice her. But if you are open and you're aware and all this stuff, they're going to be scared of you instead. So, anyways, going back to keeping your heart open, he was saying that how when your heart is open, that's when you have all of this energy and all of this love. When you close your heart, that's when you feel you don't want to do anything, you have no energy. So he's giving this example of, say your girlfriend breaks up with you, and from the guy's point of view. And so now you're devastated. All you're doing is just watching TV, laying in bed because you're devastated. You have no energy to get up. Pretty soon your apartment's a mess. Everything's everywhere. And it's been this way for now 3 months. You have no energy. People call you to go out. You don't want to. And then one day your girlfriend calls and is crying on the phone saying, I'm so sorry, breaking up with you is the worst thing I ever did. Would you ever take me back? And all of a sudden your heart just is you're just overwhelmed with happiness, and you're yes, you've been wanting her back anyways. And so she's asking if she can come to your house, and then you guys meet up, and you guys probably stay up the whole night just walking, and you're noticing the stars, and it's so beautiful, and your heart is just open and light. How fast did that energy shift change? How long did it take for you to clean up, take a shower, clean up your apartment, and get ready to go out? It didn't take much at all, right? Because your heart was open and you just felt this rush of energy flowing through you. And so that's how we get that beautiful energy, is when our heart is open. So I'm going to read a portion of his book saying, what you'll see if you watch carefully is that you have a phenomenal amount of energy inside of you. It doesn't come from food, and it doesn't come from sleep. This energy is always available to you. At any moment you can draw upon it. It just wells up and fills you from the inside. And when you're filled with this energy, you feel like you can take on the world. When it is flowing strongly, you can actually feel it coursing through you in waves. It gushes up spontaneously from deep inside and restores, replenishes, and recharges you. The only reason you don't feel this energy all the time is because you block it. You block it by closing your heart, by closing your mind, and by pulling yourself into a restrictive space inside. This closes you off from all of the energy. When you close your heart or close your mind, you hide in the darkness within you. There is no light, there is no energy, there is nothing flowing. The energy is there, but it can't get in. That is what it means to be blocked. That is why you have no energy when you're depressed. There are centers within that channel, your energy flow. When you close them, there is no energy. When you open them, there is. And although various energy centers exist within you, the one you intuitively know the most about opening and closing is your heart. Let's say that you love somebody and you feel very open in their presence. Because you trust them, your walls come down, allowing you to feel lots of high energy. But if they do something you don't like, the next time you see them, you don't feel so high. You don't feel as much love. Instead, you feel a tightness in your chest. This happens because you closed your heart. The heart is an energy center and it can open or close. And the yogis call energy centers chakras. When you close your heart center, energy can't flow in. When energy can't flow in, there's darkness. Depending upon how close you are, you either feel tremendous disturbance or overwhelming lethargy. Often people fluctuate between those two states. If you then find out that your loved one didn't do anything wrong, or if they apologize to your satisfaction, your heart opens up again. With this opening, you get filled with energy, and the love starts flowing again. So we all have this unlimited energy that we can just be feeling, and the important thing is to get unblocked, and that's what this book teaches you how to do, is to get unblocked. So definitely read it. So he's saying you have access to the spiritual energy inside of you. It is unlimited, never gets tired, and doesn't need any food. Or did I read all that? Did I write all of this? Okay, no. All it needs is being open, keeping your heart open, because when you close, it blocks the channel. True spiritual teachings are all about this energy and how to open it. The only thing you have to know is that opening allows energy in and closing blocks it out. And now you have to decide whether or not you want this energy. How high do you want to get? How much love do you want to feel? How much enthusiasm do you want to have for the things that you do? If enjoying a full life means experiencing high energy, love, and enthusiasm all the time, then don't ever close. There's a very simple method for staying open. Just never close. It's really simple. You have control. So is it worth closing? If you notice you get tight when someone walks up to you, do the opposite. Train yourself to open instead. You'll notice this openness feels unnatural, the tendency to close as a means of protection. But it does not really protect you from anything. It just cuts you off from your source of energy. And in the end, it only serves to lock you inside. When your heart starts to close, just say, no, I'm not going to close. I'm going to relax. I'm going to let this situation take place and be there with it. Then deal with it. Of course, deal with it, but deal with it with openness. Let it be the sport of the day. You feel love, and then you close and criticize, or someone doing something you don't like. It's your choice. Stop defining what you'll open and close to. Let go of that. Dare to be different. Enjoy life. And the more you stay open, the more others will see it and be drawn into you. When you feel the tendency of illness, just relax and open. That brings the energy into the system so it can heal. That's why love heals. So, life is like driving a car. You see thousands of trees and cars, and they don't even register in your mind. You see them and they pass through, and that's how life is supposed to be. But if we see something that triggers us, like it's a blue car and your ex had a blue car, you'll notice your heart flutter and tighten. This creates a blockage because now you're constantly thinking about it. And it's the same with a good experience. You cling to it, not wanting it to end, and you keep replaying it. So it can go both ways. But instead, just be present. Stop trying to replay, in the past or foreseeing the future, because we don't have control over it. Just release. Live in each moment. When a trigger comes up and you feel the fear or the jealousy, just smile. Be happy that memory stored in your heart has the opportunity to go through you. Just open, relax your chest. Relax your heart, forgive, and then do anything you want. Just don't push it back down. Of course it will hurt. It was stored with pain, and it will probably release with pain, but it only hurts for a minute and then it's over. And this is something that it was a big thing for me, because I'll replay things in my mind of things that, oh, that was a bit embarrassing, or why did I do that, or oh my, I said that, and then I'll replay it and I'll just feel this tinge, you'll see it on my face. And I've been noticing that when I do that, instead just relax and open and just let it release. It really doesn't matter. Nobody probably remembers. We think more of ourselves than anybody else does. So He was saying, you have a choice. Do you want to constantly try to change the world to not disturb your heart? Or are you willing to go through this process of purification? And then he said, don't process each one of your things that you think are in your heart. Don't process them each like one by one, because that's too slow. Just stay centered behind it in that awareness, you know, how we talked about. It's kind of like behind everything. Just stay centered behind it and release. Just let it flow through. And then another point he was saying, which was really good, is we used to be worried about physical danger because, you know, that's how we lived, like in tribes, and lions and tigers would be chasing us, or wars. But now we don't really have those problems. Most of us don't. So now we try to come up with things to worry about since we don't have those things to worry about. So now we are worried and on protecting the self. Like laughing too loud, saying the wrong thing, or the spot on our pants. Even though we're living on a planet, spinning through the middle of the universe, and that we're so tiny on this little tiny planet, in the middle of like 200 billion galaxies, you know? So another point he made is if you don't really want it, don't protect it. So like if someone triggers you and you want to like stand up and defend yourself, like if you don't really want that trigger, don't defend it. I mean, your awareness is just behind noticing everything. Just, you know, let it go. And like when you notice that your energy is off, just stop. Like if you're talking to someone, all of a sudden you feel like you're getting into like defending mode or argumentative mode or like whatever, triggered mode, just stop. Just stop. Stop mid-sentence and relax and open. And then he said, see, the alternative is to decide not to fight with life. You realize and accept life is not under your control. Like you worrying about it doesn't change a single thing. What makes you think how life will turn out? What makes you think that how life will turn out without you controlling it will be bad? Like, what if life without you controlling it will be even better than you controlling it? You don't have to worry about other people's problems. You don't even have to decide who's right and wrong, because as you mature and grow, you get different perspectives on things. So this is a law to follow. Like, it's like a universal law, but we all kind of, you know, fail at it from time to time. But it's one we must follow to be happy. He says, you'll fall, but just keep going with this law. Like when your stuff gets hit, let go right then, because it will be harder later. So that's the law. When your stuff gets hit, let go now, because it will be harder later. The moment you start seeing that you don't, okay, this is another point. The moment you start seeing that you don't like the people you used to like, the moment you start seeing that your life looks really different or really bad, or the moment it all looks negative, let it go. Let those thoughts go now. Because in that state, if you decide to give, you know, that person a piece of your mind because you held it in for so long, then that's the lowest level you can go to. Because now you're involved. Because now you've involved another ego who won't think that you're right, you know, because their ego is going to be fighting your ego, and it'll make an even bigger mess. So that was a good point. And then another one was, like if you see a car, and then you wish you had it, and then you're all mad that you don't have the car, just let it go. Just relax behind it. Don't fight it. Don't change it. Don't judge it. Don't say, I can't believe I'm still feeling this. I promised myself I wouldn't. You know, just let it all go. Your consciousness is just aware and just watches. It doesn't need the narration. So at a stoplight, if someone beeps at you, notice the tightening that happens in your chest, and then relax. Relax your heart, let it go, and fall behind it. There's always opportunities in front of you to practice this, and soon you'll be so good at, you'll be so good at it, you'll be good at it with the big things too. So even if terrible things happen to you, you will be able to live without the emotional scars. And he said, there will always be change. Some will try to control because of fear. And you can do two things with fear. Recognize it and release, or keep it and try to hide from it. And we can see it's much better to just recognize it and just release it. So no matter what happens, below you, just turn your eyes upward and relax your heart. You do not have to leave the seat of the self in order to deal with the darkness. It will purify itself if you let it. Getting involved in the darkness does not dispel darkness, it feeds it. Don't even turn towards it. If you see disturbed energies within you, it's okay. Don't think that you don't have blockages left to release, because we all do. Just sit in the seat of awareness and never leave. No matter what goes on below you, open your heart and let it go. Your heart will become purified and you will never know another fall. And if you fall along the way, just get up and forget it. Use the lesson to strengthen your resolve. Let it go right then. Just let it go immediately. Do not rationalize, blame, or try to figure it out. Don't do anything. Just let go immediately and allow the energy to go back to the highest center of consciousness it can achieve. If you feel shame, let it go. If you feel fear, let it go. All of these are remnants of the blocked energy that is finally being purified. So removing your inner thorn. The spiritual journey is one of constant transformation. In order to grow, you must give up the struggle to remain the same and learn to embrace change at all times. One of the most important areas requiring change is how we solve our personal problems. We normally attempt to solve our inner disturbances by protecting ourselves. Real transformation begins when you embrace your problems as agents for growth. In order to understand how this process works, let's examine the following situation. Imagine you have a thorn in your arm that directly touches a nerve. When the thorn is touched, it's very painful. Because it hurts so much, the thorn is a serious problem. It's difficult to sleep because you roll over on it. It's hard to get close to people because they might touch it. It makes your daily life very difficult. You can't even go for a walk in the woods because you might brush the thorn against the branches. This thorn is a constant source of disturbance, and to solve the problem, you only have two choices. The first choice is to look at your situation and decide that since it's so disturbing when things touch the thorn, you need to make sure that nothing touches it. The second choice is to decide that since it's so disturbing when things touch the thorn, you need to take it out. Believe it or not, the effects of the choice you will make will determine the choice of the rest of your life. This is one of the core level structural decisions that lay the foundation for your future. Let's begin with the first choice and explore how it will affect your life. If you decide you have to keep things from touching the thorn, then that becomes the work of a lifetime. If you want to go for a walk in the woods, you'll have to thin out the branches to make sure you don't brush against them. Since you often roll over and touch the thorn when you sleep, you'll have to find a solution for that as well. Perhaps you design an apparatus that acts as a protective device. If you really put a lot of energy into it and your solution seems to work, you would think that you solved your problem. You'd say, I can sleep now, and guess what? I got to go on TV and give a testimonial. Anyone who has the thorn problem can now get my protective device, and I even get paid royalties. See, so now you've got a whole life built around this thorn, and you're proud of it. You keep the woods thinned out, you wear the apparatus to bed at night, but now you have a new problem. You fell in love. This is a problem because in your situation, it's hard to even hug. Nobody can touch you because they might touch the thorn. Wow. So you design another kind of device that allows closeness amongst people without actually touching. Eventually, you decide you want total mobility without having to worry about the thorn anymore. So you make a full-time device that doesn't have to be unstrapped at night or changed over for hugging and other daily activities. But it's heavy, so you put wheels on it, control it with hydraulics, and install collision sensors. It's actually quite an impressive device. Of course, you had to change the doors in the house so the protective apparatus could get through, but at least now you can live your life. You can go to work, go to sleep, and get close to people. So you announce to everyone, I have solved my problem. I am a free being. I can go anywhere I want. I can do anything I want. This thorn used to run my life, now it doesn't run anything. But the truth is, the thorn completely runs your life. It affects all your decisions, including where you go, whom you're comfortable with, and who's comfortable with you. It determines where you're allowed to work, what house you can live in, and what kind of bed you can sleep on at night. When it's all said and done, that thorn is running every aspect of your life. It turns out that the life of protecting yourself from your problem becomes a perfect reflection of the problem itself. You didn't solve anything. If you don't solve the root cause of the problem, but instead attempt to protect yourself from the problem, it ends up running your life. You end up so psychologically fixated on the problem that you can't see the forest for the trees. You actually feel that because you've minimized the pain of the problem that you've solved it, but it is not solved. All you did was devote your life to avoiding it. It is now the center of your universe. It's all there is. In order to apply the analogy of the thorn to your whole life, we will use loneliness as an example. Let's say you have a very deep sense of inner loneliness. It's so deep that you have trouble sleeping at night, and during the day it makes you very sensitive. You're susceptible to feeling sharp pangs in your heart that cause quite a disturbance. You have trouble staying focused on your job, and you have trouble with everyday interactions. What's more, when you're very lonely, it's often painfully difficult to get close to people. You see, loneliness is just like the thorn. It causes pain and disturbance in all aspects of your life. But in the case of the human heart, we have more than one thorn. We have sensitivities about our loneliness, about rejection, about our physical appearance, about our mental prowess. We are walking around with lots of thorns, touching right against the most sensitive part of our hearts. At any moment, something can touch them and cause pain inside. You have the same two choices with these inner thorns as you did with the thorn in your arm. Surely it was obvious that you would have been much better off taking out the thorn. There's no reason to spend your life protecting the thorn from getting touched when you can just remove it. And once the thorn is removed, you are truly free of it. The same is true with your inner thorns. They can be removed. But if you choose to keep them without being disturbed by them, you must modify your life to avoid the situations that would stir them up. And do you really want that? So you can remove the root cause of the disturbance inside of you. It really can go away. But how do you free yourself? Well, you are not the pain you feel, nor are you the part that periodically stresses out. None of these have anything to do with you. You are the one that notices these things. Your consciousness is separate and aware, so you can free yourself. So just stop playing with your inner thorns, because you're always doing something to avoid feeling them. They are not given the chance to naturally work themselves out. So feel them so they can work themselves out. You can simply permit the disturbances to come up, and you can let them go. Stop protecting yourself. Open and feel instead. When you feel it, just notice that you're noticing it. The one who notices is already free. Your consciousness is already free. Your soul is already free. Just notice how you're feeling and witness it. It will pass. Just enjoy all of it. The more you sit with the self, the more you will begin to feel an energy that you have never experienced before. It comes from behind rather than in front, where you experience your mind and emotions. This is what you feel when you hang out with the self instead of inner disturbances. You don't have to get rid of darkness, just cease to be involved with it. It's just another thing in the universe, like cars, grass, and the stars. It's none of your business. Just let things go. Awareness does not fight, it just releases. The prerequisite for true freedom is to decide that you do not want to suffer anymore. You must decide that you want to enjoy your life and that there is no reason for stress, inner pain, or fear. Every day we bear a burden that we should not be bearing. We fear that we are not good enough or that we will fail. We experience insecurity, anxiety, and self-consciousness. We fear that people will turn on us, take advantage of us, or stop loving us. All of these things burden us tremendously. As we try to have open and loving relationships, and as we try to succeed and express ourselves, there's an inner weight that we carry. This weight is the fear of experiencing pain, anguish, or sorrow. Every day we are either feeding it, feeling it, or we are protecting ourselves from feeling it. It is such a core influence that we don't even realize how prevalent it is. When Buddha said that all of life is suffering, this is what he was referring to. People do not understand how much they are suffering because they have never experienced what it is like not to suffer. Wow. To end suffering, you must first realize that your psyche is not okay, and then acknowledge that it does not have to be that way. It can be healthy. You don't have to constantly be mulling over what you said or what this person thinks of you. See, if you mistreat an animal, it becomes afraid. And this is what has happened to your psyche. You have mistreated it by giving it a responsibility that is incomprehensible. Just stop for a moment and see what you have given your mind to do. You said to your mind, I want everyone to like me. I don't want anyone to speak badly of me. I want everything I say and do to be acceptable and pleasing to everyone. I don't want anyone to hurt me. I don't want anything to happen that I don't like. And I want everything to happen that I do like. And then you said, now mind, figure out how to make every one of these things a reality, even if you have to think about it day and night. And of course, your mind said, I'm on the job. I will work on it constantly. I mean, can you imagine somebody trying to do that? The mind has to try to make it so that everything you say is said the right way, taken the right way, and has the right effect on everybody. It has to make sure that everything you do is interpreted and seen the right way, and that nobody does anything to hurt you. It has to make sure that everything you want and that you don't ever get what you don't want. The mind is constantly trying to give you advice about how to make it all okay. And that is why the mind is so active. You gave it an impossible task to do. It is equivalent to expecting your body to lift trees and scale mountains in a single jump. Your body would get sick if you kept trying to make it do things it was incapable of doing. And this is what has broken the psyche. The signs of the body breaking are pain and weakness. The signs of the psyche breaking are underlying fear and incessant neurotic thought. And of all the advice in the world that you do not want to listen to is the advice of a disturbed mind. Your mind constantly misleads you because it tells you, if I make more money and get that job, I'll be fine. But then the next problem comes up, and it always will. To be free of the psyche it's like an addiction. Like, it is not hard to consider stop smoking. Like, the key word is stop. All the other ways are just things that you think will help you, stop putting cigarettes in your mouth. I mean, that's the bottom line. And it's the same with your psychological mess. You just stop telling your mind that it's its job to fix your personal problems, because it can't control the world anyway. Whenever it starts up telling you what you should or shouldn't do, don't listen. It's just like when you try to stop smoking. Regardless of what your mind says, you don't pick up a cigarette. It doesn't matter if it's just after dinner or if you're anxious or anything. And it's the same with your mind. Just don't listen. The truth is, everything will be okay as soon as you are okay with everything. And that's the only time everything will be okay. Do not fight your mind. You will never win. Just don't listen. The key is to be quiet. It's not that your mind has to be quiet. Just you be quiet. You are the one inside the neurotic mind. So just relax. You will then naturally fall behind the mind because you have always been there. For example, you say, okay, this is another point for getting disturbed and not getting disturbed. Like, for example, you say hello and the other person doesn't respond. Watch all the drama in your mind. It's unbelievable. There are billions of people and one didn't say hello and you can't handle that. That's a bit unreasonable. I mean, just watch the mind talk and keep relaxing and releasing. Fall behind the noise. A simple awareness practice. It only takes a second to stay centered. It only takes a second to stay centered. Like, that's it. That's why I love this book. It makes it so easy and applicable to our life. So every time, so the simple awareness practice that only takes a second to stay centered is every time you get into your car, just stop. Take a moment to realize that you're spinning on a planet in the middle of empty space. And remind yourself that you are not going to get involved in mind drama. And when you get out of the car, do the same. Even before you pick up the phone. It's like taking inventory. Like, do a body scan. See what's tight, if you're loose, like what's happening, what are you feeling? And this is life-changing. Like, honestly, do it. So when someone says something and you feel pain, ask why. Most people don't. Like, why am I feeling this pain? To get some distance, look at the stars. You'll see that you're on a tiny ball of dirt in trillions of galaxies. Like, does it really matter what others think? Like, really? Like, if you look at the whole span of the Earth, they say that we're only here for a blink of an eye. So if you blink your eye, that's as long as you're here. Like, it really doesn't matter in the big, expansive things, the little things that bother us, Because what would your life be like if it wasn't run by the pain? You would be free. You could walk around this world completely free, just having fun, just being comfortable with whatever happens. You can actually live a life full of interesting experiences and just enjoy these experiences, whatever they are. In essence, you can simply live your life and experience what it's like to be on a planet that is spinning around in the middle of nowhere until you die. To live at this level of freedom, you must learn not to be afraid of inner pain and disturbance. As long as you are afraid of the pain, you will try to protect yourself from it. The fear will make you do that. If you want to be free, simply view inner pain as a temporary shift in your energy flow. There is no reason to fear this experience. You must not be afraid of rejection or of how you would feel if you got sick or if someone died or if something else went wrong. You cannot spend your life avoiding things that are not actually happening, or everything will become negative. All you will end up seeing is how much can potentially go wrong. Do you have any idea how many things can cause inner pain and disturbance? Probably more than there are stars in the sky. If you want to grow and be free to explore life, you cannot spend your life avoiding the myriad of things that might hurt your heart or mind. You must look inside yourself and determine that from now on, pain is not a problem. It's just a thing in the universe. Somebody can say something to you and that may cause your heart to react and catch fire, but then it passes. It's a temporary experience. Most people can hardly imagine what it would be like to be at peace with inner disturbance. But if you do not learn to be comfortable with it, you will devote your life to avoiding it. If you feel insecurity, it's just a feeling. You can handle a feeling. If you get embarrassed, it's just a feeling. It's just a part of creation. If you feel jealousy and your heart burns, just look at it objectively, like you would a mild bruise. It's a thing in the universe that is passing through your system. Laugh at it, have fun with it, but don't be afraid of it. It cannot touch you unless you touch it. Let's explore this by first looking at a basic human tendency. When something painful touches your body, you tend to pull away instinctively. You even do this with unpleasant tastes and smells. The fact is, your psyche does the same. If something disturbing touches it, its tendency is to withdraw, to pull back, and to protect itself. It does this with insecurity, jealousy, and any of the other vibrations we've been discussing. In essence, you close, which is simply an attempt to put a shield around your inner energy. You can feel the effects of this as a sensation of contracting within your heart. Somebody says something displeasing and you feel some disturbance in your heart. Then your mind starts talking. I don't have to put up with this. I'll just walk away and I'll never talk to them again. They'll be sorry. See, your heart is attempting to pull back from what it's experiencing and protect itself so that it doesn't have to experience that feeling again. You do this because you can't handle the pain you're feeling. As long as you can't handle the pain, you will react by closing in order to protect yourself. Once you close, your mind will build an entire psychological structure around your closed energy. Your thoughts will try to rationalize why you're right, why the other person's wrong, and what you should do about it. If you buy into this, it will become a part of you. For years, the pain will remain inside and actually become one of the building blocks of your entire life. It will shape your future reactions, thoughts, and preferences. When you deal with a situation by resisting the pain it causes, you will have to adjust your behavior and thoughts in order to protect yourself. You will have to do this so that nothing aggravates what you have held inside about the incident. You will end up building an entire protection structure around the closure. If you have the clarity to watch this happen and understand the long-term consequences, you will want to be free of this trap. You will never be free, however, until you get to the point where you are willing to release the initial pain instead of avoiding it. You must learn to transcend the tendency to avoid the pain. Wise beings do not want to remain a slave to the fear of pain. They permit the world to be what it is instead of being afraid of it. They wholeheartedly participate in life, but not for the purpose of using life to avoid themselves. If life does something that causes a disturbance inside of you, instead of pulling away, let it pass through you like the wind. After all, things happen every day that cause inner disturbance. At any moment, you can feel frustration, anger, fear, jealousy, insecurity, or embarrassment. If you watch, you will see that the heart is trying to push it all away. If you want to be free, you will have to learn to stop fighting these human feelings. When you feel pain, simply view it as energy. Just start seeing these inner experiences as energy passing through your heart and before the eye of your consciousness. Then relax. Do the opposite of contracting and closing. Relax and release. Relax your heart until you are actually face to face with the exact place where it hurts. Stay open and receptive so you can be present right where the tension is. You must be willing to be present right at the place of tightness and pain, and then relax and go even deeper. This is a very deep growth and transformation. But you will not want to do this. You will feel tremendous resistance to doing this, and that is what makes it so powerful. As you relax and feel the resistance, the heart will want to pull away, to close, to protect, and to defend itself. Keep relaxing. Relax your shoulders and relax your heart. Let go and give room for the pain to pass through you. It is just energy. Just see it as energy and let it go. Realize that when you defend yourself, you are defending your walls. There is nothing else to defend in there. And we patch the walls with our thoughts. So we just need to let all of that go. Because imagine your house of thoughts standing in the middle of an ocean of light from 1 trillion stars. Imagine your awareness trapped inside the darkness of the house, struggling daily to live off of the artificial light of your limited experiences. Now imagine the walls crumbling down and the effortless release of consciousness expanding into the brilliance of what is and always was. Now give that experience a name: enlightenment. You only have one choice in life, and it's not your career, your marriage, or whether you believe in God or not. It is this underlying decision. Do you want to be happy or not? It's really that simple. Once you make that choice, your path through life will become totally clear. Most people don't even dare give themselves that choice because they think it's not under their control. Someone might say, well, of course I want to be happy, but my wife left me. In other words, they want to be happy, but not if their wife leaves them. But that wasn't the question. The question was very simply, do you want to be happy or not? And if you keep it that simple, you will see it really is under your control. It's just you have a deep-seated set of preferences that get in the way. Now, if you answer yes to this question, it might happen that your wife leaves you, or your husband dies, or that the stock market crashes, or your car breaks down, or on an open highway at night. Those things might happen between now and the end of your life. But if you want to walk the highest spiritual path, then when you answer yes to that simple question, you must really mean it. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's not a question of whether your happiness is under your control. Of course it's under your control. It's just that you don't really mean it when you say you're willing to stay happy. You want to qualify it. You want to say that as long as this doesn't happen or as long as that doesn't happen, then you're willing to be happy. And that is why it seems like it's out of your control. Any condition you create will limit your happiness. You simply aren't going to be able to control things and keep them the way you want them. So you have to give an unconditional answer. If you decide that you are going to be happy from now on for the rest of your life, you will not only be happy, you will become enlightened. If you were God, would you want to hang with the complainer or the one who is joyful? Like if you're looking down and you're God and this one person is just complaining about everything, do you want to hang with them? Or are you going to hang with the one who's just so grateful they are getting this experience? So God is bliss. God is ecstasy. God is as high as it gets, and that is true. And in fact, the oldest name for God in yoga is eternal bliss. If you want to be close to God, remain joyful. View your spiritual walk as learning to live life without stress, problems, fear, or melodrama. There really is no reason for tension or problems. This only happens when we resist life's events. If you are neither pushing away or pulling towards you, if you're present, then that's all there is. We use our will negatively. Our will is what causes us to move. Like it's my will that makes me lift my hand. And it's our will that causes us to do things, in our minds too. But we usually use it for the negative, because when we resist life's events, that's our will doing that. But the thing is, those things have already happened, so why resist? Resisting what someone has said doesn't take back the fact that they said it. What you'll realize is that you're just resisting yourself. So to avoid this, just stop resisting. Instead, accept. First, deal with every situation by accepting it. You will deal with things, but it'll be as earth problems, not as personal problems. And you'll be surprised, but in most situations, there's nothing to deal with except for your own fears and desires. If you don't have fear or desire about an event, there really is nothing to deal with. Wow. Like you simply allow life to unfold and react in a rational and natural manner. You are present. So, as your path, you take on the work of using life to let go of your resistance. Relationships are a great way to work with yourself. Imagine if you use relationships to get to know people rather than to satisfy what is blocked inside of you. If you're not trying to make people fit into your preconceived notions of what you like and dislike, you will find that relationships are not really that difficult. If you're not so busy judging and resisting people but based on what is blocked inside of you, you will find that they are much easier to get along with, and so are you. Letting go of yourself is the simplest way to get closer to others. The same is true in your daily work. Daily work is fun. In fact, it's easy. Your work is just what you do with yourself during the day while you're spinning on a planet through empty space. If you want to be content and enjoy your work, you have to let go of yourself and let events flow through you. Your real work is what is left to do after all else passes through. Once the personal energies pass through you, the world becomes a different place. People and events will appear different to you. You will realize that you have talents and abilities you never saw before. Your whole view of life will change. Every single thing in this world will look like it's been transformed. And this happens because as you let go in one situation, it affects your clarity for others. For example, let's say you're afraid of dogs. You come to realize that other people aren't afraid and they make it through life. Since you've been afraid your whole life, you suffered while others didn't. The suffering had no meaning. So you decide to work with your fear and relax when you see a dog. The way to work with resistance is by relaxing. That act of relaxing through your personal resistance not only changes your relationship with dogs, it changes your relationship with everything. Your soul has now learned how to let disturbing energies pass through. The next time somebody says or does something you don't like, you automatically treat it the same as you did the fear of dogs. This process of relaxing through resistance is beneficial to everything in your life. This is because it directly addresses how to keep your heart open when it is trying to close. See, to comfortably handle this flow of life, your heart and mind must be open and expansive enough to encompass reality. The only reason they're not is because you resist. Learn to stop resisting reality, and what used to look like stressful problems will begin to look like stepping stones of your spiritual journey. Contemplating death. The question is, are you going to wait until that last moment to let death be your teacher? The mere possibility of death has the power to teach us at any moment. A wise person realizes that at any moment they may breathe out and the breath may not come back in. It could happen at any time, in any place, and your last breath is gone. You have to learn from this. A wise being completely and totally embraces the reality, the inevitability, and the unpredictability of death. It shouldn't take death to challenge you to live at your highest level. Why wait until everything is taken from you before you learn to dig down deep inside yourself to reach your highest potential? A wise person affirms, if with one breath all of this can change, then I want to live at the highest level while I'm alive. I'm going to stop bothering the people I love. I'm going to live life from the deepest part of my being. See, this is the consciousness necessary for deep and meaningful relationships. Look at how callous we get with our loved ones. We take it for granted that they're there and that they'll continue to be there for us. What if they died? What if you died? What if you knew that this evening would be the last time you'd get to see them? Imagine that an angel comes down and tells you, straighten up your affairs. You will not awake from your sleep tonight. You're coming to me. Then you'd know that every person you see that day, you'd be seeing for the last time. How would you feel? How would you interact with them? Would you even bother with the little grudges and complaints you've been carrying around? How much love could you give to the ones you love, knowing it'd be the last time you'd get to be with them? Think about what it would be like for you if you lived like that every moment with everyone. Your life would be really different. You should contemplate this. Death is not a morbid thought. Death is the greatest teacher in all of life. Take a moment to look at the things that you think you need. Look at how much time and energy you put into various activities. Imagine if you knew that you were going to die within a week or a month. How would that change things? How would your priorities change? How would your thoughts change? Think honestly about what you would do with your last week. What a wonderful thought to contemplate. Then ponder this question. If that's really what you would do with your last week, what are you doing with the rest of your time? Wasting it? Throwing it away? Treating it like it's not something precious? What are you doing with life? That is what death asks of you. Let's say that you're living life without the thought of death, and the angel of death comes to you and says, "Come, it's time to go." And you say, "But no, you're supposed to give me a warning so I can decide what I want to do with my last week. I'm supposed to get one more week." Do you know what death will say to you? He'll say, "My God, I gave you 52 weeks this past year alone, and look at all the other weeks I've given you. Why would you need one more? What did you do with all of those?" If asked that, what are you going to say? How will you answer? Would you answer, "I wasn't paying attention. I didn't think it mattered"? That's a pretty amazing thing to think about life. Death is a great teacher, but who lives with that level of awareness? It doesn't matter what age you are. At any time you could take a breath and there may never be another. It happens all the time, to babies, to teenagers, to people in midlife, not just to the aged. One breath and they're gone. No one knows when their time will be. That's not how it works. So why not be bold enough to regularly reflect on how you would live that last week? If you were to ask this question of people who are truly awakened, they wouldn't have any problem answering you. Not a thing would change inside of them. Not a thought would cross their minds. If death were to come in an hour, if death were to come in a week, or if death would come in a year, they would live in exactly the same way as they're living now. There's not a single thing they carry inside of their hearts they would rather be doing. In other words, they are living their lives fully, and they're not making compromises or playing games with themselves. You have to be willing to look at what it would be like if death was staring at you in the face. Then you have to come to peace within yourself so that it doesn't make any difference whether it is or not. There is a story of a great yogi who said that every moment of his life he felt as though a sword were suspended above his head by spiderweb. He lived his life with the awareness that he was that close to death. You are that close to death. Every time you get in the car, every time you walk across the street, and every time you eat something, it could be the last thing you do. Do you realize that what you're doing in any moment is something that someone was doing when they died? Like he died eating dinner. He died in a car accident 2 miles from home. He went to bed and never woke up. The beauty of embracing deep truths is that you don't have to change your life. You just have to change how you live your life. It's not what you're doing, it's how much of you is doing it. Let's take a very simple example. You've walked outside thousands of times, but how many times have you really appreciated it? Imagine a person in a hospital bed who has just been told they've got a week to live. They look up at the doctor and say, "Can I walk outside? Can I look at the sky just one more time?" If it were raining outside, they would want to feel the rain just once more. For them, that would be the most precious thing. But you don't want to feel the rain. You just want to run and cover up. See, what is it that won't let us live our lives? What is inside of us that is so afraid that keeps us from just enjoying life? It's this part of us that is so busy trying to make sure that the next thing goes right, that we can't just be here now and live life. All the while, death is watching our footsteps. See, what if you knew that the next person you'd see would be the last person you'd ever see? You would be right there, soaking it in, experiencing it. It wouldn't matter what they were saying. You'd just enjoy hearing the words because it'd be the last conversation you'd ever have. What if you brought that kind of awareness to every situation? That's what happens when you're told that death is right around the corner. You change. Life doesn't change. The true seeker commits to life like that every moment and lets nothing stop them. Why should anything stop you? You're just going to die anyway. See, life exists with or without you. It's been going on for billions of years. You simply get the honor of seeing a tiny slice of it. So now finally, the last chapter, the loving eyes of God. See, what does it feel like to identify more with spirit than with form? If you grow past that part of you, over time you will actually drift away from the feelings of tension and anxiety. The entire cloud of lower vibrations will appear further and further away from where you sit inside. The cloud may still be there, but you don't identify with it or hold on to it. it can no longer hold on to you. As you release the lower vibrations, you naturally stop thinking that they're you or that they're anything that you have to do about them. As you let go of them, your spirit drifts upward. How do you know your spirit drifts upward? You know the same way that you know you're breathing, the same way you know that your heart beats, and the same way you know you have thoughts. You're in there and you directly experience it. What does it mean to drift upward? It's an experience of being drawn further back inside yourself. You're no longer held down to your earthly self, so you begin to feel more spaciousness inside. You feel that there's more of a distance between you and the thoughts and emotions inside of you. You drift back and then in and then up. How does it feel when you drift up? You don't feel as much anger, fear, or self-consciousness. You don't feel resentment toward people. You don't close or get tight as often. Things still happen that you don't want to happen, but they don't seem to touch you as much. They can't reach back to where you are because you've drifted behind the part of you that reacts to things. These are actual experiences, not merely something you were told about. It's just what naturally happens when you let go of the lower vibrations of your being. You drift in and up to the deeper vibrations. Where are you going? Even if you have no basis for understanding what is happening to you, you are still having the undeniable experience of going somewhere. What you begin to feel is that you're going into your spiritual being. As you associate less with the physical and psychological parts of your being, you begin to identify more with the flow of pure energy. What does it feel like to identify more with the spirit than with form? You used to walk around feeling anxiety and tension, and now you walk around feeling love. You just feel love for no reason. Your backdrop is love. Your backdrop is openness, beauty, and appreciation. You don't have to make yourself feel that way. That is how spirit feels. If you're asked how the body normally feels, you might say that it's generally uncomfortable about one thing or another. And how about the psyche? If you were being totally honest, you'd probably say it's generally full of complaints and fears. Well, how does spirit normally feel? The truth is, it always feels good, it always feels high, and it always feels open and light. Because of this, you naturally begin to center more and more on the spiritual part of your being. You do this not by reaching for spirit, but by letting go of the rest. There really is no other way. The personal self cannot touch spirit. You must release the personal self, and as you release it, you drift back. As you go further back, you get higher. You get higher in vibration and higher in the amount of love and lightness that you feel. You begin to soar, and this happens in an ever-increasing, continuous progression. As you let go and willingly release the physical, emotional, and mental aspects of your being, spirit becomes your state. You don't claim to understand what is happening to you. You just know that as you go further and further back, it gets more and more beautiful. You naturally begin to experience the vibrations that were described by the great saints and sages of different traditions. You realize that you too can have deep spiritual experiences and be in the spirit on the Lord's day, Revelations 1 verse 10. What happens to one who walks along this path towards God? What transformations do they go through along the way? To understand this, imagine what would happen if you started feeling tremendous love for all creatures, for every plant, for every animal, and for all the beauties of nature. Imagine if every child seemed like your own and every person you saw looked like a beautiful flower, with its own color, its own expression, shape, and sounds. As you went deeper and deeper, you would start noticing a phenomenal thing. You are no longer judging. The process of judging has simply stopped. There's just appreciating and honoring. Where there used to be judging, there's now respecting, loving, and cherishing. To see and to experience and to honor is to participate in life instead of standing back and judging it. Like when you walk through a beautiful botanical garden, you feel open and light, you feel love, you see beauty. You don't judge the shape and placement of every leaf. The leaves are all of different sizes and shapes, and they face every which way. That's what makes them beautiful. And what if you felt the same about people? And another thing that made a lot of sense to me is it's like a menu at a restaurant. Not everything is what you like, but just because it's a different plate of food doesn't mean it's inherently wrong. It's just, different. You don't have to judge another person for, having the spaghetti when you're having, the chicken Alfredo instead, And see, if that happened, you'd get a glimpse of God. That's the best way to know God. See, if you move your search for God down to the mental level, somebody will dispute it. It's all part of the mind game. You can't know God that way. It must come from actual experience. And that's what happens to you when you meditate. That's what happens to you when you let go of your lower self. You drift into spirit. And as you drift into spirit, these transformations take place within you. What does creation look like from that divine state? What have they seen? Those who have gone beyond and looked through the eyes of God. They see that there is no judging. Judging faded a long time ago. There's just more beauty to see. Such a being feels, now I can see all the flowers at once. Now I can experience what each of my children and all of my diversity is doing. Now I can feel more love, more compassion, more understanding, and more admiration for all the different expressions and actions of my creation. See, that is what it looks like to a saint, and a true saint dwells with God. What if it is really true that God is not judging? What if God is loving? We all know that true love doesn't judge. Love sees nothing but beauty in its beloved. There's no impurity. There's no possibility of impurity. No matter what it beholds, it's all beautiful. And that is how true love sees. That is what it looks like through the eyes of love. And so if God is love, what must it look like through those eyes? Those eyes that are filled with infinite love and unconditional compassion. If you've ever really loved anybody, then you know what true love means. It means that you love them more than you love yourself. If you truly love someone, your love sees past their humanness. It embraces their whole being, including past wrongs and current shortcomings. It is like the unconditional love of a mother. A mother devotes every moment of her life to a child who is physically or mentally challenged. She thinks that the child is beautiful. She doesn't focus on the shortcomings. In fact, she doesn't even see them as shortcomings. And what if that is how God looks upon his creation? Then you've lost out if you've been told otherwise. Instead of being encouraged to feel completely protected, loved, honored, and respected by the divine force, you've been taught that you're being judged, because you've been taught that you feel guilt and fear. But guilt and fear just close your heart. The reality is that God's way is love, and you can see this for yourself. If for even one moment you can look at someone with the eyes of true love, you'll know that those eyes are not yours. Your eyes could never look with that amount of love. Your eyes could never be that unconditional. Your eyes could never, even in a million years, see only beautiful and total perfection in your beloved. Those are the eyes of God looking down through you. When the hand of God reaches out to give through you, there's nothing you wouldn't give. You would give your last breath and not even think about it. It wouldn't even cross your mind to hold back. You would give anything and everything for your beloved. When you feel this love, when you feel love this deeply, you feel that it is coming from something greater than you. It is transcendental love. It is divine, unconditional, selfless love. The Master spoke of that love. The ones who went beyond said it's the state you attain when you drift into spirit. That is how spirit looks upon its creation. That is what you should be taught. No matter what you do and no matter what you've done, you will always be loved by him. When Christ told the story of the prodigal son to his disciples, he spoke of the one son who had gone away and squandered all his wealth. Yet when he came home for help, his father treated him better than the son who had stayed home and worked. And Christ explained that this was because the one son had always been home, but the prodigal son had been lost and the father had missed him. See, this was love, only loving. Just love. Luke 15:11 through 32. See, Christ also said that he that is without sin among you, let him first cast a stone. John 8:7. See, what did he teach? What did he say? How did he look upon this world? He taught completely selfless, compassionate love. He hung on the cross next to thieves and robbers, and when a thief asked to be remembered, Christ said that he would share that day in heaven with him. Luke 23, verse 39 through 43. See, what were his first words upon the cross? Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they do. Luke 23:34. See, that is the love of a mother. That's how a mother talks about her child. The level of love and compassion is so deep that the child can do no wrong. If a mother can attain to selfless love, then what about God, the creator of love? Do you want to know how God looks upon this world? Do you want to know how he feels about different kinds of people? Then look at the sun. Does the sun shine more brightly on a saint than on anyone else? Is the air more available to a saint? Does the rain fall on one neighbor's trees more than another's? You can turn your eyes from the sun's light and live in darkness for 100 years. If you then turn them towards the light is still there. It is there for you just the same as the person who enjoyed its brilliance for 100 years. All of nature is like this. The fruit on the tree willingly gives itself to everyone. Do any of the forces in nature differentiate? Does anything in God's creation other than the human mind actually pass judgment? Nature just gives and gives to whoever will receive. Should you choose not to receive, you punish yourself because you do not receive. If you say to the light, I will not look at you, I'm going to live in darkness, the light keeps shining. If you say to God, I don't believe in you and want nothing to do with you, well, creation continues to sustain you. See, your relationship with God is the same as your relationship with the sun. If you hid from the sun for years and then chose to come out of your darkness, the sun would still be shining as if you had never left. You just pick up your head and look at the sun. And it's the same way when you turn towards God. You just do it. If instead you allow guilt and shame to interfere, that's just your ego blocking the divine force. You can't offend the divine one. Its very nature is light, love, compassion, protection, and giving. You can't make it stop loving you. It's just like the sun. You can't make the sun stop shining on you. You can only choose not to look at it. The moment you'll look, you'll see it's there. See, God is ecstasy. And if God is in ecstasy, I wonder what he sees when he looks at you.